My student Scott made $245,000 of profit from his land flipping business in just 2 months with 6 deals. And I'll show you the exact 5-step system we always use to close deals on demand. But land flipping may not be what you think. We're not talking about fancy developments or construction projects. We're talking about buying a 10-acre parcel for $30,000 and selling it for $65,000. Sometimes it's in the same month. If this sounds too simple, it's not. We do not go on Zillow, Redfin, or Realtor and buy retail value, then try to resell it. We focus on off-market deals. I will show you how to find them. If you don't know who I am, I'm Anthony Weiler. I built a 6-figure per year land flipping business starting in 2022. I still run it today, but most of it's outsourced. It takes me 1 to 2 hours per day to oversee on average. This is what let me quit my job, pay off student debt, and spend days at home with my wife and 2 kids. Before I give you the exact steps, save this video so you can come back to it later. This information can change your life, and this is a serious opportunity, so let's start. Step number 1 is creating your business. Before you look for markets or reach out to sellers, set up the foundation. It's highly recommended you set up an LLC. You need a business email, a virtual mailbox, and a phone system. You're going to be reaching out to a lot of people. If you want to scale and make 5 or 6-figure profits from a single deal, this setup matters. You can buy a business domain through Google or Squarespace so you can come across as professional. The service provider is your choice. The important part is you set up a real business and register it. Step number 2 is going to be selecting profitable markets. We avoid non-disclosure states in the beginning. In real estate, that means that the state does not require the sales price to be public. Without sales data, it's hard to price accurately, which you need for profit. And I'm not saying you can't get the data, you definitely can, but you will need to be licensed to access it or have someone provide it for you. If you don't have close connections with a real estate agent or someone who has access to this data, I would suggest you avoid these states when you're just starting out hunting for your first serious deals. After you choose a state, lock in on a few counties that are worth doing business in. Here's what I look at. A 5-acre price point, anywhere between $30,000 to $100,000, a population density between anywhere from 50 people per square mile to 400 people per square mile. The difference between 12-month listing prices and sales prices for land between 2 and 30 acres. I normally don't buy outside of those size limits unless I'm going for minor subdivision deals, but this helps decide if a county is worth exploring or not. Inside my free community, I share a spreadsheet I use to organize this data. We also have a 1-hour live walkthrough where I record my screen and find profitable markets in real time. If you want to join, just click the link in the description. Once we have the counties, we pull records through either Land Portal or Land Insights, which are tools I use to filter and see only land offers in my target county. When I pull data, I look for parcels between 2 and 50 acres, sellers who have owned the property for at least 9 years, parcels without a slope if the county is known for rugged terrain, sellers without tags like HOA, banks, or cemeteries. I want individual owners who want to sell fast. This lowers the friction and increases the chance of a clean deal. Now that we have good prospects, we start our outreach. Here are some common options. The first one is going to be direct mail. This is where you send physical mail, letters, postcards, or specialty mailers. You make a clear offer to buy. Secondly is going to be SMS campaigns. This is where you start the conversation by text. You share your offer, ask if they're open to selling. The third option is going to be cold calling. This is where you find the contact and you call them. You can outsource parts of this, which I highly recommend, especially if you are doing cold calling. There are agencies that do mail, texting, and calling. I have used some. A few of them are definitely worth it, and a few are not. Inside my community, I go into the details and share free scripts and templates that have worked for a lot of people. Marketing requires consistency. You need to test, tweak, and keep going until you get responses and close deals. Do not start sending new mail just because things heat up. Until the profit hits your bank account, you do not have a deal. People lose deals right before closing them, and it crushes them. It happened to me. I had no leads in the pipeline, and rebuilding momentum took a long time. You need to protect your pipeline and keep it steady. Now let's get into step number 4, which is making an offer and negotiating the purchase price. This is by far one of the hardest parts besides finding a solid deal. You're asking the seller to part with their property, and it comes down to your pricing and whether they trust you and your process. So bring real data to the table. Show them what you base your offer on. This is why you set up a real business in step 1. You look professional and the trust goes up. Use a title company or a closing attorney for the process, especially if the seller has a company that they already trust. That makes you look professional and keeps everything smooth. Once the seller signs the purchase agreement, you need to move on to due diligence. So let's get into step number 5, which is due diligence on the property. Do not buy a problem. Follow a checklist, verify ownership status, check for liens and encumbrances, confirm zoning type and regulations, check for any restrictions that affect your plan. You need to review environmental and other risk factors. Check crime stats in the neighborhood. The more you check, the fewer headaches you'll have. This is a business. Use a system that you repeat every time. Before you close on the property, you need to get drone footage of the land. This is the final part of due diligence. You want eyes on the ground. You need to check for squatters, check for trash, and confirm access. See how it looks in real life. Once everything checks out, it's time to sell and get paid. List your land on an MLS platform like Zillow yourself or hire an agent. For smaller deals, you can also use Facebook Marketplace. That is the 5-step rundown for starting a land flipping business and what goes into it. If you want this broken down in more detail, join the free community. You will get more details, tools, and other people on the same journey. Subscribe for more, and I will see you next week.